My husband and I were married in the temple, and we were married for 5 years. He was in the military and deployed twice to Afghanistan and Iraq. When he returned, he was diagnosed with PTSD. He was very intimidating. He threatened us a lot, myself and my children. The last episode that we went through, my husband was very upset because the refrigerator had just gone out. He hit the refrigerator door, flung the door open, and started throwing all the frozen food out of the refrigerator. I stood up to him and said, "Stop, you're going to hit one of the kids." He turned around and screamed in my face and said that I was nothing but a stupid fucking bitch. We packed up the car and started driving, and while I was in the car, I called the police department, and there was a domestic violence advocate that referred us to the YWCA in Salt Lake City.
A lot of times what my victim needs is information about protective orders or information about food stamps or jobs. And so we have the Family Justice Center that's located here on the YWCA campus that allows us to send victims to one place to receive multiple services, hopefully help them feel empowered to make some different choices in their life.
I met Emily when I was working in the crisis shelter. She knew that she needed to leave the situation for the safety of her children, but she was scared and nervous about what her future would hold for her.
When you first think of a domestic violence shelter, you think of a big gym and lots of beds and a room full of crowded people. And to my surprise, it wasn't like that at all. They issued us a key card, and we were given a small private room similar to a hotel room. When I first came to the shelter, my son was 4 years old and my daughter was 2, and I was 3 months pregnant.
Having a baby at any time, in any place, is stressful. But of course, in a crisis shelter, in a domestic violence crisis shelter, it's quite difficult. And the services that the case manager provides, a lot of supportive listening and encouragement, connecting her with community resources.
I like to feel like we're a big quilt at the YWCA, and I'm a square on the quilt, is kind of how I think about it. And every square is so important to them, to the clients when they come in. And my square might look like clothing, but it's so much more than that, because they come in, and I think it's probably the low point of a lot of the women's lives, that this has happened between a partner and themselves. And so I feel like we start a relationship then of trust. I just feel like it gives them some little semblance of warmth upon them arriving in here.
After moving out of the shelter, we moved into the apartments.
The KRH program is a transitional housing program for women and their children. It's a 2-year program. During their time there, women have access to case management, where we talk a lot about goals, their future plans, and the steps that we need to take to get them to those future plans.
When we moved in, the kids were so excited. They had their new room to themselves. It really changed our outlook and gave us hope for the future.
When they come in, the first thing they have to do is, maybe it is restraining orders, medical attention, public defenders, all stuff that you don't want your infant or your 2-year-old or your 3-year-old with you. Emma's Playhouse is a drop-in daycare. It's for crisis families first. Women who are just leaving an abusive environment come in, they sign in, and we meet the needs of the kids.
In the crisis shelter, we have child advocates who work with the moms specifically on child issues. This can be child care issues, which is huge, and it can also be providing birthday cakes and presents when they celebrate birthdays here. A lot of the work that child advocates do is connecting children with therapists, just because the environments that they come from and a lot of the things that they witness can be detrimental to them.
Part of my husband's emotional abuse was that we weren't allowed to reach out to other people around us and really make friends. And that really made us isolated and put us in a shell. And I feel since we've been at the YWCA, we've been able to come out of that shell a little more and make some friends.
What I would say about the YWCA is that it's a safe, all-inclusive place where women and children can come, get the help that they need to make different choices, to find different paths, so that they no longer have to be victims, that their kids no longer have to witness violence in their own home, so that the kids can focus on what kids need to be focusing on, mom can focus on what she needs to be focusing on, and all of those services are right here under one roof where a woman can be safe and get the help she needs.
I really hope that Emily is able to use this time to really develop herself and become grounded in who she is.
My plans for the future are to attend college, and there is a Horizon of Hope scholarship for single parents that I plan to apply for, and I look forward to working in the LDS church offices someday and interested in finance.
You don't have to experience domestic violence in your everyday life. That safety is important, and it can really influence and impact you and your children. I think that if she is able to teach them about safety and about healthy relationships, then it'll be a success.
I want women in domestically violent situations to know that they are of great worth, that they have a choice, and that there is a safe place to go, and that's the YWCA in Salt Lake City.